A 1 hour, 42-minute long interview. Every word, every question, every answer heard by a nation that's watching the story with immense animation. As the probe now focuses on whether Sushant's death was murder or suicide, let's listen to what accused number one, Riya Chakraborty, in this case, has told India today. And when we come out of this, we will show you reactions that are pouring into this big interview. We'll try and look at which are the answers which now shed new light on what we knew about the case, and where is it that she appears shifty and unconvincing. That and a lot more. But first, some excerpts from this big interview.
आप इतनी करीब रही सुशांत से के साथ 1 साल के लिए, आपको क्या लगता है, सुशांत ने सुसाइड की या फाउल प्ले था?
मैं खुद जानना चाहती हूँ। आज से 14 के बीच में ना मेरी उनसे कम्युनिकेशन रही, ना मैं वहां थी, उनकी बहन वहां थी, बाकी लोग वहां थे, मीतू जी। मैं जानना चाहती हूँ उनसे कि ऐसा क्या हुआ 8 से 14 के बीच में कि अगर उन्होंने सुसाइड कमिट किया या ये कुछ और था। मैं खुद जानना चाहती हूँ। इसीलिए सर मैंने सीबीआई इंक्वायरी मांगी थी, ये पटना के एफआईआर से पहले। आपने 16 जुलाई को एक ट्वीट किया है जी कि अमित शाह जी, मैं चाहती हूँ कि सुशांत के मामले में इतने हफ्ते हो गए सीबीआई इंक्वायरी हो। क्यों चाहती थी? क्योंकि आई एम अनक्लियर अबाउट द लास्ट वीक। आई एम अनक्लियर कि 8 से 14 के बीच में ऐसा क्या हुआ, और ये इट्स सो अनक्लियर। और मैं जानना चाहती हूँ, इवन आई वांट जस्टिस फॉर सुशांत, बट आई एम वेरी कंफ्यूज्ड। कोई बोलता है ये, कोई बोलता है वो, मजाक बना के रख दिया, which is why I want CBI inquiry.
You know, there are some people who are asking, why did India Today interview Sushant Singh Rajput? I ask, why not? If there are serious charges leveled against a certain person, does that person not have the right to present his or her side of the story? How can you imagine that this person is convicted, is guilty, is a murderer, without even listening to what that person has to say? Listen with an open ear. Allow for those answers to be processed, and then try and determine on balance what your view is. Ultimately, the decision that needs to be taken is a decision that will be taken by a judge in a court of law. But since this is so much about public opinion, surely the least that one must do to somebody who's facing charges is listen to what that person is saying and then see whether those answers make sense or not. We absolutely cannot accept only one point of view and imagine that just that one point of view is correct and that there can be no other point of view. Listen to some more excerpts before I start our conversation this evening.
जून 8 को क्या हुआ, वो पूरा दिन हमें बताइए।
जी, तो सुशांत कूर्ग शिफ्ट होने की तैयारी कर रहे थे और कॉन्ट्ररी टू द एलिगेशंस ऑन मी कि मैं नहीं उनको जाने दे रही थी, मैं काफी अंडरस्टैंडिंग थी उस बात को लेकर, और मुझे लगा कि इफ दैट्स बेटर फॉर हिम, व्हिच आई फेल्ट इट वुड हैव बीन बेटर फॉर हिम, देन दैट्स दैट। लॉन्ग डिस्टेंस रिलेशनशिप भी होता है, मैं कुछ महीने वहां बिता सकती हूँ, कुछ महीने अपने घर पे बिता सकती हूँ। 8 जून को मेरी एक थेरेपी सेशन बुक थी डॉक्टर सुजन वॉकर के साथ 11:30 AM की। तो दैट गोज टू प्रूव कि मेरा कोई इरादा नहीं था 8 जून को जाने का। मैं अपने घर पे थेरेपी सेशन नहीं कर सकती थी, मैं नहीं चाहती मेरे मॉम डैड मुझे उस हालत में देखें। मुझे एक ब्रेव फेस उनके लिए रखना पड़ता है, क्योंकि कोई भी मॉम एंड डैड अपने बच्चे को ऐसा नहीं देखना चाहेंगे। इसलिए 1 जून को जब मेरी थेरेपी सेशन थी, मैंने सुशांत को बोला कि मेरी थेरेपी सेशन है, और उन्होंने मुझे कहा कि नहीं, आप थेरेपी सेशन यहां मत करो, आप घर जाओ। तो मैंने कहा पर मुझे थेरेपी सेशन करके जाने दो। उन्होंने बोला नहीं, आप थेरेपी सेशन के पहले जाओगे, क्योंकि मेरी बहन आ रही है। मैंने उनको फोन किया है, वो पिछले पूरे जून के महीने में वो अपनी बहनों से, अपने पिताजी से लगातार फोन पे बात करते रहे कि हाँ मैं कूर्ग शिफ्ट होने का प्लान कर रहा हूं, तो क्या आप में से कोई मेरे साथ आएंगे, मुझे हेल्प करेंगे? और कोई जवाब नहीं आ रहा था कि वो आएंगे या नहीं आएंगे। फाइनली 8 को जब उन्होंने मुझे बोला कि तुम घर जाओ ही जाओ, तो मैंने बोला मैं जाती हूं, पर एक ही कंडीशन है मेरी कि आपकी बहन जो बॉम्बे में रहती हैं, गोरेगांव में रहती हैं, मीतू जी, वो आए, वो यहां होंगी तो मैं जाऊंगी। इनफैक्ट मैंने उन्हें बोला था कि अभी 12 बजे हैं, कितने बजे आएंगी मीतू जी, तभी मैं जाऊंगी जब वो बिल्डिंग के नीचे होंगी। उन्होंने कहा नहीं, वो 1-2 घंटे में आने वाली है, आपको उनके आने से पहले जाना होगा। और हाँ, मेरे और उनके परिवार के रिश्ते कुछ खास नहीं थे। दे वर स्ट्रेन फ्रॉम इंसेप्शन। शुरुआत से काफी तकलीफें थी। उनकी फैमिली को मैं अब तो जायज ही क्लियर ही हो गया कि बिल्कुल भी पसंद नहीं हूं। मेरी ऐसी स्ट्रॉन्ग इमोशंस ना थे ना है उनके लिए। और जब कोई इंसान मेंटल हेल्थ, डिप्रेशन या किसी भी हेल्थ प्रॉब्लम से गुजर रहा होता है तो फैमिली का वहां होना बहुत जरूरी होता है। इस बात को मैं समझती हूँ, जानती हूँ, मानती हूँ। इसीलिए मैं चाहती थी कि उनकी बहन आए और तो ही मैं जाऊं। तो जिस दिन मैं निकली, आई इंश्योर्ड कि मीतू, सुशांत सिस्टर वहां पे हो, और वो थी।
You know, I'm joined at this time for a reaction from the Sushant Singh Rajput family by Vikas Singh, who's the lawyer of the SSR family and has been representing the family throughout the last 74 days. But I'm also joined at this time by Rajdeep Sardesai, who flew down to Mumbai for that interview. Rajdeep, your impressions at the outset. Which are the parts where you think Rhea has been able to shed new light, which people need to take account of? And where in the interview do you think she appears wishy-washy, unconvincing, evasive?
Thanks very much, Rahul. Yes, you know, in an interview of 1 hour 45 minutes, there will be elements where you perhaps feel that Rhea has a very strong case, and there will be parts where her story doesn't quite gel. Look, there are a couple of points I want to make, Rahul, which I think are important to recognize. Where there is complete objective criteria by third-party corroboration, not just Rhea's family versus Vikas Singh or Sushant's family. Number one is the accounts. These accounts now have been looked at very closely by the Enforcement Directorate, and the fact is that this 17.5 crores, there is a third person, Vashu Bhagnani, the producer of the film, who apparently has corroborated that the money was never sent. The money was never put in the account, because that was the basis of the charge of money laundering and cheating. So there, Rhea versus Sushant can be decided by a third party, who was the film producer who allegedly was going to give this money to Rhea and Sushant for doing a film. So that, the financial aspects, I think, can be objectively settled by just simply going through the account books. The second part is the more complex issue, which for some reason has never really come right, has been foregrounded, Rahul, which is that of Sushant's alleged depression and mental illness. Now, Rhea can say what she wants and Sushant's family can say what she wants. The fact is, 5 psychiatrists have given, and 3 of whom were working on with Sushant closely, were helping him out, have given detailed reports of Sushant's condition. Condition, which is again available with the authorities. And the sad part, Rahul, is that this is a problem that no one wants to confront. It's one of those dark secrets that we don't want to put before people when someone could be suffering from something like bipolar disease. Now, this is, forget Rhea, forget Sushant's family. These are 3 independent psychiatrists who have given detailed reports. Where she is evasive, I think, at the moment, is a lack of clarity on the WhatsApp conversations when it comes, for example, to allegations of drug dealing, which have only now come. And I think where the story really, and this is where Vikas Singh may have to answer, she claims she left on the 8th of June, which she did. From the 9th to the 13th, Rahul, it was Sushant's sister who was staying with Sushant.
Okay.
And therefore, if Sushant commits suicide or whatever happens on 14, the sister will also have to answer some very, very grave questions.
Okay, stay with me, Rajdeep.
What was she doing between the 9th and 13th?
I want to put some of these questions to one of India's top, most acclaimed lawyers. Vikas Singh has been the face of the Sushant family, and he's now live with us on this broadcast. He listened to the interview through and through, and now, you know, and he's also had an opportunity to take feedback from the SSR family, and he'll put that for us. I want to start by asking you, Mr. Vikas Singh, your overall impressions of the interview, point number 1. Point number 2, about the fact that Rhea Chakraborty says that she left Sushant's residence on the 8th of June. Now, in that last week, leading up to Sushant's mysterious death on the 14th of June, Rhea Chakraborty is not in touch with Sushant, except for one exchange that they have, and a message that he apparently sent to Ria's brother. That apart, there is no conversation. And when the death took place, now whether this is homicide or suicide, Ria Chakraborty wasn't there. You've been on my show. You've accused Ria Chakraborty of having murdered Sushant Singh Rajput. You've asked for the CBI and the ED to arrest Ria Chakraborty. Can you square the two? Because if you've murdered someone, you need to be physically present at the site of their death when this alleged murder took place. If she's not even in touch in that last week, the sister, Meetu, is the one who's in the house. She's there when the body is brought down. Nobody says anything about Ria being present. Why then do you still believe, Mr. Vikas Singh, that Ria Chakraborty is guilty of having murdered her boyfriend, Sushant Singh Rajput?
Well, Rahul, either you are naive or you and Rajdeep both are very naive. I mean, this is not even the charge that she was there at the home. The charge is, and please appreciate what the charge is. The charge is that in a abetment to suicide, it is not that you actually make the person hang and commit suicide. That's never the charge in an abetment to suicide. In an abetment to suicide, it's a bundle of facts or a bundle of circumstances which lead somebody to commit suicide. Now that bundle of facts are what? I'm sorry to say this, Rajdeep is on your show. Rajdeep did not ask any uncomfortable question to her. And that's what I expected a responsible journalist like him to do. He was asking
That is
soft
a very
questions.
unfair charge, but I will let it pass. That is a very unfair charge, but you are entitled to it.
Rajdeep, please, I didn't interrupt when
you are obviously...
I'll prove it.
Rajdeep, Vikas, this will degenerate very quickly. Okay. On this show, I'm the moderator. Both traders go down. Rajdeep, if you jump in like this, I don't allow this to any other guest, and we must follow the same protocols. This conversation will degenerate very quickly. We're trying to make sense, not noise. Vikas Singh, you will have your say, and then Rajdeep will counter what you're saying. Go ahead, Vikas Singh.
Rahul, if you want my view, then please ask Rajdeep to not interrupt. Otherwise, I'd rather leave the show and go. I don't want to start. I don't want to participate. Okay. Yes. So let him hear something uncomfortable also. His show was a show which actually didn't ask any of the questions which are there in the FIR. Now I'll come to point wise on those questions. What does the FIR say? The FIR says that you cut off the family. No questions asked. The FIR says that you used his money. No questions asked, and now he's trying to justify by saying that ED has found nothing. Is he the representative of the ED on this show today? Is he here to say that he has seen what the ED has found? I don't want to say what all the ED has found, because it is something which is part of an investigation, ongoing investigation, and let the ED take a call of what exactly is found or not found. It is not as if these transactions are not as if money goes from X account to Y account and then only it's money laundering. Money laundering can be in several ways. You may withdraw cash from the account and keep accumulating that money. A girl who has had only 40 lakhs as her annual expenditure, if there is 60, 70 or 80 lakhs cash withdrawal from the account in the year, in which there is supposed to be for office expenses when there was no office running, then that money is clearly laundered money. So Rajdeep is nobody to comment that there is no money found in her account. Now, my lord, the third most difficult question that he missed out completely. No, I'll come to what you said. Please, Rajdeep, don't interrupt. When the so-called medical condition was revealed for the first time, I mean, Ria also doesn't say that it was there before she joined him. Ria also doesn't say that she had it, Rajput was suffering, Sushant was suffering from medical condition when she met him.
She says that he was consulting with a doctor in 2013.
The first time it surfaced in September.
No, she says that he consulted with a psychiatrist in 2013. She names the psychiatrist.
13, there may be some stray incident. I'm not talking of, Rahul, I'm not talking of a stray incident. I'm talking of in 19 when she met him in April, there was nothing for her to suspect that he was in a medical condition. The first time according to her in this interview, she came to know about a medical condition only when she was in that holiday with him in that palatial hotel where he was living life king size and she was enjoying the life king size with him, and there she saw these paintings, and that is how this whole thing erupted. Now why it has been put up, I'll tell you, because there is a medical condition which says that this kind of, and the timing of this revelation, The timing of this revelation is one day after the drug theory comes in, that she was controlling his mind by the drug. Now please see the next point. When she comes back to India, is it not her duty to inform the family that this is a very serious medical condition that Sushant has developed in this holiday? And treatment. What was her capacity as a live-in partner to take care to ensure that she will take care of him all his life? Rahul, if you are in love with somebody and if you are in a live-in relationship, when there is a breakup, you come and say, I want alimony. And courts have also granted you alimony in some cases. But when a person goes, has some mental issues, and you can just dump him because now that he's of no use to you, you have used the king-size life that he has led with him. And now when his mental condition deteriorates, you don't inform the family. And when you leave on the 8th, let's come to now the B2 incident. When you leave on the 8th, was it not your duty? You were the only person who knew what treatment was being done to him. You were the only person who knew which doctors you were consulting. You were the only person who knew what kind of things he had to avoid and what he had to not avoid. Did you tell anybody in the family when you left him that this is the condition? Now our answer is that B2 was coming, Sushant wanted me to go before. Can anybody believe that, Rahul? Will you believe this theory? That if somebody you know whom you love, whom you have enjoyed king-size life with, and you will say, no, all right, I'll go, but Bitu Didi, let Bitu Didi find out on her own what was wrong with him, when you have never told Bitu Didi what is wrong with him. So, Bitu comes after she leaves. She leaves before. She packs everything and goes. And in her, did Rajdeep ask her questions? Did Rajdeep ask her questions that she, in a chat with Mahesh Bhatt, she has said that she has left him for good? And he congratulates her for doing that.
Okay.
Now, if you don't want to ask difficult questions,
so you've said multiple things. Now, Vikas Singh, I must
project somebody in a manner to affect the trial, to affect the. No, let me complete, Rahul. You have not let me complete. So, if you want to show somebody that in a manner in which you feel that you will be able to adversely affect the trial, I'm sorry you are mistaken. Our judicial system is not so naive as you both to accept whatever Ria says by those fed questions. These are fed questions that I'll say this and you answer this. Why don't you ask that? Why did you not wait? Supposing if Sushant had told her to go before Bitu came, she should have waited downstairs and met Bitu because she knew, she's the only person you knew what was wrong with
So
Sushant.
you said multiple things, Vikas Singh. Let Rajdeep counter that and then I'll come back to you. I have some more questions for you as well.
2017. Under the Mental Health Act, she is supposed to hand over properly what exactly is wrong with him to a family member when she leaves the home. She can't just say that Bitu Didi will come in and figure out for herself what is wrong. Now, where are those questions from Rajdeep? I don't agree that Rajdeep doesn't have the brains to ask these questions. He's a smart guy. I know Rajdeep is a very smart
respond.
guy. He has deliberately asked only those questions which were comfortable for Ria, and he tried to paint Ria in as if she's a Abla Nari and she's been harmed by the society and everybody is going after her. When somebody asks me, what is this evidence? What do you have to say? I say, I'm sorry, I will not comment because this is a matter of investigation. Let the investigating agencies find out something, then only I'll comment. So it's not fair for you to do a soft interview like this with an accused and behave as if she's a celebrity sitting in front of
Rahul,
you.
You've said enough. Now let Rajdeep speak. Vikas Singh, come on, be fair. Vikas Singh, you've said enough. Now let Rajdeep respond and come back here. Let's go. Let Rajdeep respond now.
Don't do an interview like this.
Okay, Vikas Singh, we've heard you.
Your responsibility as a journalist is to ask those hard questions. And if those hard questions are not answered, and if you don't ask those hard questions, then you are not true to your job. That's all that
Vikas Singh, now let Rajdeep counter. Rajdeep.
In the last 5-7 minutes, you have heard someone, and I hope he doesn't interrupt, who has revealed his misogynistic mind by using words, Abla Aurat, king-size life, none of which have anything to do at the end of the day with Sushant's tragic death. And this is what I'm saying. Not a shred of evidence has been given so far. For me as a journalist, I believe the courts must decide. Neither does Vikas Singh decide, nor do I decide. The courts will decide. The enforcement agencies will decide. Mr. Vikas Singh has obviously not even heard the questions that I have put. Mahesh Bhatt question asked. Question about how she allegedly distanced the family, asked. Questions of the European trip asked, questions of depression asked, questions on money asked, questions on accounts asked. He can go through the interview 100 times. I have senior lawyers who have sent me messages, and I'll show them to Vikas Singh if he wants, that this is one of the best TV interviews they have ever seen. So obviously they, and many of them are even more senior than Vikas Singh. I don't even want to go down that route.
Once, what to say 100
so
times.
He has every right. So if you have not seen the interview, you should not comment on it, sir. Without seeing the interview, questions on Mahesh Bhatt asked, questions on distancing from family asked, questions from depression asked. And depression, to my mind, Mr. Vikas Singh, you should see the reports which have been filed by 3 of the top psychiatrists whom Sushant was going to treatment. Now, I don't know one thing, where you asked Rahul, we don't know where Sushant family's version matches Ria's. Ria claims Sushant's family did not do enough for Sushant, even though she had told them about his depression and his condition. According to Vikas Singh, he is saying that the family was not informed. So there are 2 different versions here. I do not know which is true. I am not close to either Sushant's family or Ria. This is now Vikas Singh Ji's version versus Ria's version, and I think we should respect both. But I think more than anything else, we should respect professional psychiatrists. 3 of Mumbai's top psychiatrists, the best, some of the best minds. They should be, and their confidentiality does not allow them to come on air, Rahul, but their reports are before the police, and we are told that those reports should at some stage tell both Vikas Singh Ji and me where the truth lies. I am not here to play sides. For me, it doesn't make any difference.
Now Vikas Singh,
my life will go on. But I do believe innocent till proven guilty is the principle of law.
No, Vikas Singh, there's one question.
Abetment to suicide cannot be a breakup. A breakup of a boyfriend and a girl and his partner cannot be the basis of abetment, sir.
Okay, Vikas Singh, my question is about financials. What Ria does in that interview, which to my mind, just listen to my question, Vikas Singh.
I want to know from
Vikas Singh, listen to my question. Vikas Singh, listen to my question, and I'll patiently hear you.
Just make one point, and then I'll hear your question. I'll hear your question. Let me just make one point.
Okay, go on.
Was the professional who Ria took Sushant to was told that he was being administered some drugs which are banned drugs? Because then only the professional can give a honest advice. Anyway, now Rahul, what is your question?
No, let's come to financials. Because in this interview, and that 15 crores has been spoken of so much, the allegation is that that Sushant Singh Rajput had 15 crores and that Ria took this money away. Now, in this interview, it emerges that Vashu Bhagnani promised Sushant Singh Rajput that there would be 15 crore rupees that will be paid. That money apparently never went into the account of Sushant Singh Rajput, and because of the COVID pandemic, the film shooting which was to start in May got delayed. And therefore, it's not as if that money ever went into that account for it to be siphoned off. How do you respond to that, Vikas Singh?
Well, Rahul, you have not read the FIR properly, number 1. Number 2, the account very clearly shows that there is a 17 crore inflow. Flow and a 15 crore outflow. Now the FIR doesn't say that the 15 crore has gone to Ria's account. No, it doesn't say. And I'll tell you exactly how it all happened. The family never dealt in the accounts of Sushant Singh Rajput. Never. He was an adult, he was a successful film star, he could live king size, and nobody ever objected to that. If today he had been alive, probably what he had spent on Ria, or if he would have spent another 100 crore on Ria, the family would have no objection to. So let's make that point very, very clear. The point is that she is responsible for his death, and because she is responsible, according to the family, I'm going strictly according to what family feels. Because she is responsible for the death, so whatever she did to him and whatever money which went to her, either directly or indirectly, was a part of criminal breach of trust, because she was not fair and honest in the relationship. She was there in the relationship only for the money and for the fame and to get films through him. So that was the only purpose. She was not entitled to anything.
No, in fact,
when the family
Mr.
came
Vikas
to me
saying,
for the FIR,
Ria talks about...
Rahul, let me complete what I'm saying.
Okay.
Rahul, let me complete what I'm saying. So when the family met me somewhere in the middle of July, and they wanted that, they were extremely upset that the Mumbai police is going in a very different direction, which is definitely not what the family had suggested. So I suggested to the family that let's find out about the accounts also, whether some money, because it was already in the public domain that she was using the credit card, etc. So when the accounts were taken, now Priyanka, that sister with whom, you know, Riya says that there was a fight and molesting, etc., all kind of allegations she has made. Priyanka even till today is the nominee in that account, and even in the other account. So that's the bond between the brother and the sister. So Priyanka, being a nominee, could get a copy of the account. When we saw the account, we saw an outflow and an inflow. So we said that we suspect that some of this money also has been misused. Now, how much has been misused has not been said by the family. If it is only 50 lakhs, be it so. 50 lakhs is also a very big sum as far as Riya is concerned. A person who has only 40 lakhs returned income, if 50 lakhs has been swindled, that's also a very big sum, because more than 80 lakhs have been taken out by cash, and there is no account for that. There was supposed to be taken out for office expenses. Her person used to go out from the bank and take out that cash. Now, if that cash is the only money which is unaccounted for, be it so. That will not take away the jurisdiction of the ED authorities in examining the money laundering angle. So that is not something where the family really has ever made a point in the sense in which you both are trying to put to me. The family, I'm saying today that if the family had spent even 100 crore on Riya,
from 17
the
crores you have
family
come to
would
40
not have
lakhs.
been at all concerned as long as Sushant had been
you
alive.
have come from 17 crores to 40 lakhs. From 17 crores,
40
you have now
lakhs
come
is
to
her
40
return
lakhs.
income.
40 lakhs,
No,
now
no,
we are
40
saying
lakhs
enforcement
is her
director
return
of the
income.
country,
40 lakhs is her return
is
income.
interrogating someone
40
for
lakhs
4
is
days
her
for
return
40
income.
lakhs. You started
40
with
lakhs
17
is her
crores.
return
You
income,
started with
Rajdeep.
17
40 lakhs
crores.
is the
Okay.
return income
Sir,
of Riya.
Yes. You
40
said,
lakhs is
you
the
said
gross
that even
income
if
of
50,
Riya.
Sir, your first case was that 17 crores was swindled. Now it is turning out that 17 crores was never put in Sushant's account. So you are now saying it was about 40 lakhs and you are saying 80 lakhs.
My
simple
what I
question
am
to
saying
you.
was my
Sir,
case.
can
This
I
is
ask
not
you
what
something?
you're going to tell me.
Sir, my
Rahul,
simple
this is not
question,
going
sir.
anywhere.
Okay,
simple
no, I
question.
have one more question. Vikas Singh,
Simple
surely you can
question.
take a couple of more
My
questions.
simple question,
1 second, Rajdeep, time out,
No,
because
I'm
he's
done,
begging to
Rahul,
walk
I'm
out.
done.
1 second,
I had
Rajdeep,
enough.
1
Rahul,
second.
you told me you were
Vikas
free
Singh, I have 1 or 2 more
9:20.
questions. Rajdeep Swedakolkar, 1
Rahul,
second,
you told me you were
Rajdeep,
free by
we have a couple of
9:22.
questions for 1
I'm
second.
done now.
Vikas Singh, 1 second, stay with me, please. I don't want this to turn into a back
No,
and
your
forth, because
time is
that's...
up, Rahul. You told me
No, I
9:20
have,
you
okay,
free.
1 or 2 more
9:20
questions and I'll
it's
let you go.
already
Okay,
9:26.
Vikas Singh, 1 or 2 more questions, I'll let you go. In this interview that we carried, and since you've been in touch with the Sushant Singh Rajput family, you can shed some light on this. Riya talks about how Sushant told her that SSR had a strained relationship with his father, that he was apparently very close to the mother. Now, Sushant's sister put out some tweets earlier, which were deleted subsequently, about Sushant's mother, unfortunately suffering from, mental health issues, and that was something that, Sushant cared a lot about. He was very close to his mother, and that the father had left the mother, and which is why Sushant didn't have a good equation with his father. Now, you've been in touch with the family. You've heard what Riya is saying. What is it that you're picking up from the family on this? Vikas.
Well, Rahul, firstly, the father and the son shared a perfect relationship. And I'll tell you the evidence straight away on your channel. Even after Riya came in the life, the first thing she did was to create differences with Priyanka, who, in spite of the differences, continued to remain the nominee on Sushant Singh's all the accounts. As far as the father is concerned, she didn't attack the father initially because he was living distant Patna, so she was not bothered with the father. And they were not talking that regularly that he would be a problem for Riya to start with. Sushant went to Patna in May 2019, after Riya came in his life. And he took his father to the village, got his hair tonsured, and performed religious ceremonies there with his father, stayed with him for whatever time he was there in Patna. So it is not that there was any problem with the father. Mother died in 2002. And there was never any strain. The father was the pillar of strength. He actually brought up these children. He educated them properly, all the 5 of the children. So there was never any problem between the family. So I don't think we are going anywhere, Rahul. Let's.
Is it true? Is it true that
Who
the
said
father
so?
did not meet Sushant for
Sushant
5
went
years?
to Patna in May 2019. No, this is the lie that you have been listening to, Rajdeep. This is the lie that you are listening to. Mother died in 2002.
Okay.
So 2019, as late as 2019 May, Sushant went to Patna. Just Google and you'll find out about his visit to Patna. He went to Patna. He went to flew to Patna. He took his father to the village. I'm telling you, if you don't want to listen, you want to listen only to Riya.
I appreciate
That's
it.
your problem,
No,
Rajdeep. I'm sorry. I can't
No, sir,
continue
I
like this.
appreciate what you're
I'm
saying.
telling you, May 19.
No, I
May
appreciate
19
what
is
you're
not 5
saying.
years.
Okay.
May 19 is 1
No,
year
no,
back.
there was a 5-year period. No,
Okay,
sir.
thank
They are
you,
saying
thank
that
you.
there was a 5-year
Thank
period
you,
after
thank you.
Sushant came to Bombay that the father did not meet.
Sushant's life for 5 years he hadn't met the father. That's what
That's right.
Riya says
Yes.
in the interview. In any case, hey, listen, who are we to take sides? We're not running a kangaroo court, we're reporting on a story. And when you report on a story, you listen to both sides. You don't say, I'm blocking out this side because it doesn't suit my agenda. I will only look at a story from a unidimensional perspective. That goes against every single tenet of journalism, of reportage, and that's not what we believe in. If you're covering a story in the same fashion as we've had multiple people so far, from lawyers to associates to friends, coming out and giving us the family side of the story, Riya Chakraborty, whether she's guilty or innocent, deserves a fair hearing. Listen to what she's saying, listen to where she makes sense, also try and find out where is it that her answers don't add up. And there, Rajdeep, I felt that on the issue of drugs, she comes across as being exceedingly wishy-washy, because she says that I don't want to answer this question. It's almost as if she's been coached and briefed by her lawyer about what's okay to say and what's not okay to say on this issue, because she's got a message which she sent, like it's a message going from her, where she's talking about having taken, so what she's saying is that I haven't taken serious drugs too often, but she does refer to having taken it, and then suddenly in your message she says, no, I've never touched drugs. Now that doesn't make sense. I mean, from your own message that doesn't make sense, Rajdeep.
Two points, Rahul. One is, of course, the Narcotics Bureau has to still investigate her, so maybe we will know much more from that. Maybe that might explain, as I said, the sense of evasiveness and caution which was there, which was not there in other questions, but on the issue of drugs, she was evasive and cautious. But let's be clear. This was a case which started with attempted suicide, money laundering, now you're coming to drugs. And if at all that is the case, that she was perhaps occasionally taking drugs, if that is the case, then it completely transforms what the narrative was. Now, importantly, she claims on record that Sushant was having marijuana, and it also confirms what I think your sting operation involving people close to Sushant also confirmed, that Sushant was taking drugs. The point is, we're going to have to confront all these facts. Now, whether she was, she claimed she was trying to prevent him and trying to get him off the habit, but he was not. It was very difficult to do so. The WhatsApp conversations are not fully explained by her, particularly the one in 2017, which she has with a hotelier in Goa. But is that really what this case was supposed to be all these weeks? Remember the way the case has played, from nepotism to mafia, to then money laundering, to gold digger girlfriend, to all kinds of things, to eventually suggesting in some way murder, and then now coming to drugs. So the point is, Rahul, the narrative has shifted. And that is why I think one needs to ask questions on all these issues. And to be fair to Riya Chakraborty, in a difficult time, she's at least taken the question. I can assure you one thing, Rahul, not a single question was shared with her. And my colleague Sahil Joshi is there, who's our Mumbai bureau chief, and we went to for the interview, and it was made very clear to her, and she herself said, you can ask what you want. She said that very clearly to her. I will answer any question you have. So there was no question of any scripted interview that this is not acceptable, that is not acceptable.
You know, I want to get a word now.
I am delighted, because that's all that we can have as a journalist.
Oh, sure. And in any case, Rajdeep's interview is not the final word. No one interview is the final word, will be the word written by a judge in a court of law in his judgment after having looked at the evidence in hand. And till then, you keep your mind open, you keep your eyes open, you keep your ears open, and listen to everything you're being told. You don't just block out one side because for some reason it doesn't suit your political agenda or your journalistic agenda. We don't have agendas. We've never met either Sushant Singh Rajput or Riya Chakraborty. This is a story that needs to be tracked, that's captured public imagination, which is what we're hoping to do, without either giving Riya a certificate of innocence or condemning her as a murderess. Joining me now for an independent legal perspective on everything we've seen so far is one of our finest lawyers, Aryama Sundaram. With us also is Kanika Sutherland. She's an actor and lawyer from Mumbai. Roshan Gary Binder is a producer, has worked with Sushant Singh Rajput, and Rabia Khan is the mother of Jia Khan, joins me as well. Aryamar Sundaram, I come to you first. We've seen charges flying thick and fast on both sides of the suicide or murder divide. You've looked dispassionately at this interview. What do you make of what Ria says? Which are the parts where it appears to you that she's shedding new light, raising questions that now need to be probed, and where is it that she seems unconvincing?
Look, Rahul, being a lawyer, we do have the habit of seeing both sides of everything. Of course, we may be arguing one side, but we can't be effective arguing one side unless we don't see the other side also and know how to deal with it. So when one looks at both sides, a lot of issues do come up. The fact is, let me just state what I see as basic facts. The first question which arose was, what was the cause of his death? Was it suicide? And now the question is it homicide? Two, if it was suicide, was it in any way abetted by anybody else? On the other hand, if it was homicide, who were those who were responsible for the killing? This is the object of the entire exercise. While doing that, while following that exercise, many things have been thrown up. Thrown up are issues of drug use, throwing up are issues of money being moved. Now, the movement of money was relevant to see whether that could have been a motive for homicide, and it was very relevant. The question of the drug use here or there or whatever it was going on, at least, unfortunately, public perception being what it is, it's believed that much of that area of professions, on the Bollywood side and all that, that it's quite prevalent. And smoking marijuana is apparently a habitual and par for the course. But that's a different matter altogether. But let me tell you what the interview showed today. Actually, Rajdeep, I must congratulate Rajdeep on very, very direct questions and the way he framed them, because she was forced into giving direct answers. And what I found was that she gave direct answers, not evasive answers. She made statements of fact, which according to her are the fact. Now, no one can believe 100% what she said. No one can believe anything. But the fact is that all that she has said are things can be verified in investigation. CBI is investigating. For example, did money go into an account? Did money come out of an account? Can be verified. Take an example. The fact is that some WhatsApp messages have come about using of CBD. CBD is a cannabis substance which is often used for people who are bipolar, who are depressive and otherwise. Now what comes out of that is this was being used by him a year ago. So then question of whether he was depressive or not also comes up in the fray. But the fact which came out from today's interview is that she has made statements claiming them to be true. Now, either she's telling the truth or she's telling a lie. The fact is that what she has said are all verifiable facts. They can all be verified.
Okay,
why?
Let me ask you this question, Mr. Sundaram, because the charge is of abetment to suicide. Now, she says she's left on the 8th of June. There's only one exchange between her and SSR after that. There's one message which he apparently sent to Shobik, Ria's brother, and there is no other exchange. He is found dead in mysterious circumstances the 14th of June. In that one last week, it's Sushant's sister who's there at the house with Sushant. Ria is not there. Can she then, legally speaking, they've had a bad breakup. Okay, this is a messy breakup, there's no doubt about it. They've had a bad breakup. She's now at least trying to walk away. Can she then be held guilty of abetment? From what we know in the public domain, what goes in favor of that charge, what goes against that charge, according to you?
Look, according to me, abetment to suicide is not something where a couple breaks up and a person is distraught over the breakup and then kills himself. That is certainly not abetment to suicide. Abetment to suicide legally is if you had some role in assisting the person to kill themselves, or if you had a very good manner in which you could have prevented it, you did not do it but allowed them to do it. That is, there must be culpable negligence on your part to prevent it, or or there must be a culpable act.
So we just heard
it.
from Vikas Singh, who said, Arima, that, one second, sir, we just heard from the family lawyer. He says that when she left, she didn't inform Meetu, the sister, about his ailments, about his medication, and if you're dealing with somebody who's suffering from mental illness, then that's the least that you're expected to do. It's almost a legal and medical obligation.
Well, I'm very sorry to say that much as I have great regard for my friend Mr. Vikas Singh, I cannot agree that that will be abetment to suicide. The fact is they had a bad breakup and she stormed out. When you're having a bad breakup and you're thrown out, you're not going to say, now that I've had a bad breakup and I've been thrown out, now let me sit down and tell you about his history, tell you this, tell you that. After all, this is a family which claims that they're so close to him. They claim that they're very extremely close to him. So if he did have these kind of medical medicines, well, they would be able to talk to him at least over the next 6 days between 8th and 14th. So if you're talking about abetment of suicide, I find it very difficult because usually the abetment is by someone who's a proximate cause. That is someone who's nearby. So I don't think by that yardstick would fit in there. This is my legal opinion. But let me say the other issue is the one of homicide which is being investigated. Now, we are going on a basis of the complaint was abetment to suicide. But what is still being investigated is it suicide or is it homicide? Now, if homicide comes up, then various other issues get thrown up. And then explanations to a lot of things which he has claimed are true and untrue today will have to be verified. And like I said, most of what she has stated today are things which can be verified. For example, investment in companies, whether monies went in or out, because motive is said to be, if there was a homicide, one of the strong motives for the homicide is the financial angle. Now, if it is a financial angle, fortunately, the way the financial angle has gone, there has been movement accordingly, allegedly, from account to account. Now, these can be completely verified. And if verified and it's found that what she's saying is false, then that follows. If what she's saying is true, then something else has to be looked at. But the fact is that what she has said is very, very clear-cut yes and no's. Now, those yes and no's can be verified. Do I believe the yeses and no's? I can't say I do. At the same time, as a lawyer, I can't say I don't. Because this is what investigation is all about. So they are going to look into all that and then find out if there is a financial angle which could have been a motive for homicide, then look at the actual scene of the crime also to see whether the scene of the crime makes out a case of homicide. Then look at who has the best motive for it, and that is the way the investigation will proceed. So right now, I don't think suicide has been decided as the definite cause of death. I think they're still investigating homicide. So all this will be evidence which will have to be gleaned through an investigation.
Thanks,
but one thing is that she has now committed herself. She has committed herself to various answers. And if she's wrong in those answers, well, she'll have to pay the consequences for it.
Okay, thanks very much, Arima Sundaram, for joining us.
It's a different picture.
With your perspective. Let's get reactions now from Kanika Sadanan. You saw that interview. What is it according to you that interview reveals and explains, and where is it that you think that she comes across weak and evasive and uncertain and almost as if she's trying to dodge the answer?
So Rahul, first of all, let me thank Rajdeep ji because he did this interview, and I'm so glad that we have at least heard what Ria had to say. Finally, this kangaroo court system that's been going on for the last 60 days, at least there's some other angle to it. I absolutely agree with my senior advocate over there, Arimanji, that what he's saying, I agree with it completely. With regards to the interview, as he said, I'm also going to say the same thing. I do not want to say whether I agree or I do not agree, but as a lawyer, you do look at both aspects or both sides. I want to just say one thing, that the system or the process of natural justice is not being followed here. Article 21, Article 22, Article 14, all these fundamental rights that have been endowed on her as a citizen are not being followed by any of the news channels, and I'm so glad India Today did this interview. Misogyny, objectification, everything this person has gone through, and whereas she's just the accused. Abetment to suicide. If she was not there, as Arimanji said, I agree with him, she cannot be made an abettor to the suicide because the facts don't add up. But of course that's something that has to be investigated. If it's a murder, then there's other aspects on that. But I cannot say that I Maybe Ria has rehearsed these answers, but whatever it is, as Aryamanji said, again I'm going to say that she has now nailed herself with these answers, and these answers can be always called upon to recheck and re-verify whenever she speaks further. But this is definitely a good thing that you've done, and I hope that now people will look at the other side, because I really truly believe, whatever I know from the inside sources, that he was suffering from mental illness. What was his sister doing for 7 days? If there was a breakup, if there was a breakup and it was a bitter breakup, she could have reached it. Did she send a message to Ria saying, please tell me the medications? Did she ever send a message saying, what is the doctor's name? Can you WhatsApp me the prescription, or can you tell me where the medicines are lying? Did she do that or not? And if she did not, then why? She has faltered. She has faltered on her duties as a sister. They're saying that she kept her away she kept him away from the family. If you're saying in May 2019 he visited the family and the father, and he went to the village, which the Vikas Singh ji just said, then how has she kept the family away?
Okay.
You're saying that the people are saying that he asked for a ticket. Why did he have to ask for a ticket? There are 5 people earning members in their family. He's got an IPS son-in-law. They couldn't buy him a ticket. I'm sure he also has money to buy a ticket. Why did he have to ask? And because he didn't send the ticket, that's why he didn't come.
Okay.
I don't agree with all these arguments.
So I've got Dr. Sonia Lal Gupta. She's a well-known neurologist. She's an American board-certified neurologist, used to administer CBD to her patients in the US. And honestly, for those who have very little idea, like I do, about CBD, who uses it, why they use it, is this legal, is this illegal? From what I've understood, in certain countries, this drug is administered legally. Is that the case in India? Can doctors like you, Dr. Gupta, administer CBD to patients legally in India? There's reference in those messages to CBD. Why would this be given in the light of everything you know from that interview we ran with Ria and everything else you followed about the story so far?
Right. So CBD basically is a component of cannabis or marijuana, as we know it. So there's THC, which gives the high, and then CBD is a different component which basically works on receptors in the brain that helps with pain, anxiety, depression, as well as insomnia. So anybody who has sleep difficulties. Now in the US, it's been FDA approved. Medical marijuana has been FDA approved for use in epilepsy in children. And there are 2 particular syndromes. One is Dravet syndrome and one is Lennox-Gastaut syndrome, in which it is actually used. That's the only case where it's actually legally, medically, it can be prescribed by a neurologist, even in the US. But yes, now it's more legal over there, so there it can be
No, so I'm
prescribed.
asking about India. Star like Sushant Singh Rajput, if he's having CBD, is he doing this legally? Is he doing this illegally? What's the Indian situation?
In India, it's legal in certain states, but only Ayurvedic practitioners can prescribe it. So allopathic doctors like me, we cannot prescribe CBD over here.
So you heard the psychiatrists who'd been mentioned, the ones who'd been consulting with Sushant Singh Rajput. They are not Ayurvedic doctors, they're allopathic doctors, and therefore would they be allowed to administer CBD, or would he be having this illegally as an alternate therapy of sorts?
No, so there's no direct data anyhow for a doctor to prescribe it per se in India. In India, legally, no psychiatrist would have prescribed it, but they would have prescribed medications that are used for depression, treatment of depression. CBD oil could have been attained either through other sources or through an Ayurvedic practitioner with a proper prescription, and then they can actually source the CBD oil and it can be given. And there are particular doses and, that have to be used, but it has to be done.
If you're having this CBD without prescription, and pardon my very basic questions, is it then illegal to do so in India? You're saying in the US and Netherlands, some places it's legal. In India, if you're having it without prescription, is it illegal then? Or is it just immoral, or, forget the moral judgment, if you wanted to have it, you could just have it, or is it like a violation of law?
So again, it depends on the state you are in.
This is Maharashtra. Why are you giving answers like a lawyer? We're in Maharashtra. We're talking about Mumbai. Is it legal there or not, Dr. Sonia?
Actually, I'm not. No, in Maharashtra, I'm not sure if it's. I think it's illegal. If it's given, if it's bought, drugs are illegal over there. So technically, CBD oil. See, CBD does not give a high. So it does not exactly come under the category. But at the same time, it is a product of cannabis. It is made out of hemp. So we have to take it from that perspective, and when we see it. So as a doctor, it cannot be prescribed. If somebody is getting it, either they got it through an Ayurvedic source, through an Ayurvedic prescription, or they bought it online or through some other sources.
Okay.
So technically, legal. So technically,
okay, Dr. Nimesh Desai, is the director of the Institute of Human Behavior and Allied Sciences. And now, one of my biggest concerns, as is the concern of many who are watching, is that mental illness is something you treat with the highest amount of sensitivity. You know, you want people to be open, to go seek therapy, not to think of this as something they need to be ashamed of or hide or keep inside the closet. And suddenly, exactly what Sushant was fearful of, that there would be stigma attached to people finding out that he was dealing with mental illness. That's exactly what he's dealing with, which is like a terrible example for those who are dealing with mental health issues. What do you make of everything Riya revealed about Sushant's mental health? If you were to look at it from the outside, what does it suggest to you about the kind of depression that Sushant was suffering from?
Rahul, thank you. I must say that you hit the nail on the head, at least as far as we are concerned, psychiatrists, mental health professionals, mental health activists, in your initial remarks before the question to me. Mental illness, persons with mental illness and issues of mental health require to be handled so sensitively at every stage. When the person is around, for him and for the family, if he is no more, as it is in this case, for the events after that death. Unfortunately, I know, I respect that there must have been a lot of issues, and so we could not have discussed it at length. I really would request that at some stage we need to talk about all the issues of mental health and psychiatry and drug abuse treatment related to this case. But let me clarify first few things. I'm totally with Radeep and Mr. Sundaram when he says, with some expertise in law and mental health, abetment to suicide is a very difficult charge to prove. 306 IPC will not be merely a breakup. Number two, CBD is not legally permissible anywhere in India. Even in the US and some countries in Europe, CBD is only for cancer pain and chronic pain, not really for depression or bipolar disorder. Third, what you're saying, Rahul, let me also say that it really pains, like you and Radeep have been saying, remaining neutral, as all of us professionals should. It's really sad that we don't recognize, even in such instances, that the society needs to be both more aware, more supportive, and yet more sensitive for persons dealing with mental illness. Neither taking sides for the partner nor for the sister. I think this is the time for us to realize the sensitivities around mental health, including taking a person who is unwilling out of depression or out of any other illness for treatment. I mean, we know, and any number of cases where unfortunate end comes because the treatment could not be availed of.
So we'll have a
very
full
sad, but that's
detailed conversation around the various issues around psychiatry, seeking counsel,
please. That'd be wonderful.
And dealing with stigma that this case throws up. But here's what I wish to say. Listening to Riya Chakraborty is crucial. Not because we believe that she is innocent, but because we're no one to judge whether she's innocent or guilty. Because that decision can only be taken in a court of law after a judge examines all the evidence at hand and then comes to a conclusion about whether Riya Chakraborty is guilty or not. And like there are questions that have been asked of her, there are questions that the family of Sushant Singh Rajput and people around him need to answer as well. The India Today group is attempting to cover the story that has captured public imagination in as delicate and sensitive a fashion as we can without taking sides. We are not part and do not wish to be part of a kangaroo court. We neither give her a certificate of innocence nor do we condemn her to the gallows. Because remember, even though the lawyer said in the show that she's not been accused of murder, if you see a lot of the coverage, a lot of people are convinced that she's guilty of having murdered Sushant Singh Rajput. Now think about it. It's on the 8th of June, about a week before Sushant Singh Rajput's mysterious death, that this lady last met Sushant Singh Rajput. After that, there's one exchange between them directly and one through the brother, and that apart, there is no dread. So if you're thinking, and I know that there are many people who are convinced that she's guilty of murder, how could she have potentially murdered him if she wasn't even at the scene of the death? Therefore, Can it be murder, or can we rule murder out for the timing and then come to abetment to suicide? And if 1 week ago is when they had their last exchange, then how will the court prove, how will the agencies prove that she's guilty of abetment to suicide? Because that in any case is one of the toughest charges under the penal code to try and prove in a court of law. And secondly, how will you establish it? Is there compelling evidence? Not there are some circumstances that suggest that she may have had a role in him being unhappy, but that can only be weighed on balance in a court, not in a kangaroo court, in a legal court. That's the only court that matters. We will continue over the next several hours, as we have over the last several, to try and cover both sides of this story, because we firmly believe at the India Today group that listening to both sides is critical to reportage, to journalism, to democracy, and to everything we stand for as a society. The moment you imagine that X, Y, or Z is guilty and start looking at the story just from that point of view, you've already made up your mind, and then you refuse to see every other fact that stares you in the face, that suggests to you that there could be a second side as well. We do not run, we do not wish to run a kangaroo court. We'll continue to report this story without holding her guilty or giving her a certificate of innocence. If you have been watching, thank you very much. When we come back on the other side of a quick break, you can sit back once again and watch the entire interview that all of India is talking about, the most anticipated interview of 2020 India Today Group's exclusive conversation with India's most wanted, the lady in the eye of a national firestorm. Chakraborty speaks exclusively to India Today on the other side of a quick break. Stay with us.
No, थोड़ा right शुरू करें. Please keep quiet now. शुरू करें. Sir, there have been a lot of speculations regarding Sushant Singh Rajput case. The Bihar police is here. One of the officers has been quarantined, and there are a lot of theories being floated. There was a party. There was a connection to Disha Salian's case. What is the Mumbai police's take on this?
सबसे पहले तो I would like to answer your question about the death of Sushant Singh Rajput. On 14th June, बांद्रा पुलिस स्टेशन उनको ये खबर आई थी कि सुशांत सिंह राजपूत के घर पे कुछ दुर्घटना हुई है. Thereafter, our police officer rushed there and they found Shri Rajput's body एक बेड पे रखी गई थी, जो भी घटनाक्रम था, और कुछ जो वहाँ थे उनकी मदद से बॉडी को हॉस्पिटल ले जाया गया. हमारे लोग लेके गए थे हॉस्पिटल, हमारे लोग लेके गए थे बॉडी को हॉस्पिटल. हॉस्पिटल तो हमारे लोग था. सो हॉस्पिटल ले जाया गया एंड वहाँ पे उनको डेड डिक्लेयर किया गया हॉस्पिटल में. जितने लोग थे उनके बयान नोट किए गए। उनकी एक सिस्टर भी तब तक वहाँ पर पहुँच चुकी थी। घर के जो लोग थे उनके बयान नोट किए गए। जो ताला तोड़ने वाले व्यक्ति को जो बुलाया गया था उसका बाद में बयान नोट किया गया, और जो एविडेंस थी वहाँ पे पंचनामा किया गया। एंड पंचनामा करने के बाद फ्लैट को सील कर दिया गया। एंड 15 जून को फॉरेंसिक एक्सपर्ट्स की टीम करीना से एंड डॉक्टर्स की टीम सुपर हॉस्पिटल से वो जब वहाँ पर आई तो फ्लैट को अनसील किया गया, पूरा एविडेंस कलेक्ट किया गया एक्सपर्ट्स द्वारा। एंड उसके बाद ही पूरी एविडेंस कलेक्ट करने के बाद फ्लैट को अनसील करके हैंड ओवर कर दिया गया था। जो अब तक इस केस में इन्वेस्टिगेशन हुआ है, 56 लोगों की अब तक स्टेटमेंट्स ली गई हैं, एक्सपर्ट्स को कंसल्ट किया गया है, फाइनेंशियल रिकॉर्ड्स देखे गए हैं, उनका जो गैजेट्स थे, उनका लैपटॉप या फोन्स, उसको एग्जामिन किया जा रहा है। और एक बहुत ही डिटेल्ड और प्रोफेशनल इन्वेस्टिगेशन मुंबई पुलिस ने आज तक किया है, बांद्रा पुलिस कर रही है। एंड पूरा इन्वेस्टिगेशन हमारे डिप्टी कमिश्नर जोन 9 मिस्टर अभिषेक त्रिमुखी ने सुपरवाइज किया है। अभी भी ऑनगोइंग इन्वेस्टिगेशन है। जितने भी इसमें पॉइंट आते गए वेरियस स्टेजेस पे, चाहे वो प्रोफेशनल राइवलरी का पॉइंट था, फाइनेंशियल